Hello and welcome to Let's Breathe Together. My name is Ariel Kiley and I'm so happy you're here today. It's Sunday, May 10th, 2020. It is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the people who embody maternal energy, to either humans or furry creatures or leaved little beings or other people in your life. What a beautiful energy, that maternal energy. I think we can all celebrate. I think we all contain it towards something on some level. But today's theme, the theme of our practice today, is bravery. And I love this word, bravery. Just like there's that phrase, the peace that passeth understanding, which is a kind of cool way to look at peace. I feel like bravery is the strength that passeth understanding. Bravery is like that feeling of belief in yourself, even though you don't quite know what's coming and you don't maybe even technically know whether you are strong enough to handle it. And one thing that I have been noticing as I talk to different people as we move through these COVID times is people are finding that they're stronger than they think, and they're more capable than they've given themselves credit for. And maybe even you're a little more brave than you thought. And in today's practice, I'm going to share a story that has always stayed with me about bravery. And I'm also going to teach two really empowering breathing techniques. One is going to be breath of fire, and one is going to be a very specific way of teaching Ujjayi breath, the triumphant breath. Thanks, Holly. So first, let's just take a few breaths together and feel into how we feel today. So will you make yourself nice and comfortable and upright? Oftentimes I'm sitting in more of a chair for these sessions. Today I've opted to sit in what's called hero's pose with my knees together and my feet beside a block because I want my torso to be super upright. So you can find a place and position. I just realized my set was a little cluttered when I panned down. You can choose a place and position, ideally where you feel even on your ischial tuberosities. So your torso is just very upright. Your shoulders hang evenly, and you feel like you can rise up through that long column of your spine. And then inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And lightly close your eyes if they aren't already. And simply notice how you're feeling today. Notice the quality of energy that animates you. Notice if you feel more tired or awake. light or heavy. And take 3 more breaths with your eyes closed, just feeling what you feel. And then simply ask yourself, what could I use a little more bravery for in my life right now? And notice where your mind goes, what challenge might be in your midst that you could use a little more bravery for. And let's devote the efforts of your practice today to that task. Something you need the strength that passeth understanding for. And then, as you're ready, you can just open your eyes and look around your environment, see where you are. And let the act of seeing anchor you in the present moment. So as you look at that doorknob or that knot in the wall or that branch on a tree, it brings you here and now. And feel yourself here and now in your space, and also here and now virtually connected to the other people in this gathering peppered around the world. My connection to you, your connection to me. And you're welcome to keep looking around or look at the screen as you wish. I want to tell you this story about strength. So a few years ago, I was teaching in Brooklyn, teaching yoga, and one of the students that regularly attended my classes, she was the head of the public speaking department for one of the New York City schools, colleges. And she invited me to come do a guest lecture for her public speaking class. And they were freshmen. It was in downtown Manhattan. It was on an eve. I remember it was evening. It was like 6 or 6:30 p.m. And I went to lead this public speaking class for these young people. They were, 18, 19, 20. Definitely people from all different backgrounds. It had that wonderful mix of characters and backgrounds that often come with city colleges or universities. And what I had prepared for them was a variety of exercises, but one of the exercises I prepared for them, I think the person who invited me to lead the lecture thought I would teach like breathing techniques and physical grounding techniques, like yoga stuff. But I went more toward what I think is much bigger game, which is the power of speaking when you actually have something important that the other person needs something to hear. Because I think like public speaking is the worst when the person just seems to be speaking to a wall in front of them. They're not connected to the person that they're really there to serve and transform. And so I really wanted to emphasize how you come alive as a public speaker when you want the message to land, when you truly believe the message you're carrying will help and support the person you're speaking to. So I had prepared this grab bag of phrases, of interesting phrases. Some were from great philosophical books, some I had come up with, phrases that each student would pull out of the bag, and there were an individual message stand in front of the class. So I'd have two of them stand in front of the class, pull it out, look at it, imagine that the person in front of them really needed to hear that message. Like it could save their life. They needed it so bad. And then deliver that message to that person as though it's, water in the desert for them. So really to practice giving a message to a person instead of just speaking it out into the air. Now, like I said, there is this whole variety of messages in this bag, and all of them, contain some kind of deep or interesting truth. And as we were going through the class, there were about 20 people in the class. They would get up, they would practice saying it, making it land, and then change roles. And the other person would take a paper and they would practice saying it and going back and forth. And we're getting to the end, and we're down to the last two people. And the last two people left was a tall, open, animated young man and a young woman who is sitting in the front, but against the wall, like nervous, like tucked into the corner. And the young man was happy to get up in front of the class. And the young woman, I said, are you open to doing this activity? And she said, like she was too scared to stand in front of the class, she communicated. And I said, that's totally fine. Is it okay if he just comes and picks a message and delivers it to you where you're sitting? She said that was okay. So he pulls the last message out of the bag, reads it, looks at her, and says, "You're stronger than you think." That was the last message in the bag to this young woman who is afraid to stand up in front of the class. And I get chills just thinking about it right now. The whole class just was like, whoo. Like her spirit guides or something had put that message there to be delivered to her. And then we're all just kind of like, whoa. And he delivered it beautifully because it landed. And he delivered it with the belief that she was. And I went on, led the rest of the class. It ended. I was closing up and kind of like cleaning up. And I'm like, should I name drop the person who runs the public speaking department? Hollis. I don't think she cares. Some of you know Hollis. She's amazing. She moved to Westchester, which was kind of a bummer. She couldn't come to my classes anymore. So me and Hollis are kind of like wrapping up, cleaning up stuff. And then there's like a tap tap at the classroom door. And the young woman comes back in with, I think she had like two of her friends with her, like her little posse. And she's like, hey, and she comes up to me and she's like, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry I didn't stand up and do the exercise. And I was like, it's totally cool. Like the way it worked out was beautiful. And it was so powerful, that moment. And thank you for being honest with yourself that it didn't work for you. And she was like, yeah, but like, I know I could have done it. And the thing about that moment was, it was like in the time between him delivering that message, her walking out and coming back in, the message had been absorbed. And when she came back in, she was talking to me from a place of confidence that she could stand in front of the class and do that exercise. She had received the message that she was stronger than she thought. And walking away from that night, I just have always carried with me both the power of the words we choose to speak to each other, but more importantly, the power of the words and the messages we choose to focus on and speak to ourselves. Let's breathe together. Inhale and exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And stay introverted, stay internally focused, and just lightly reflect on this past 6 weeks or so, 2 months, and reflect on if there has been any evidence of you being stronger than you think. Have you been able to handle challenges, figure out technology, shift practices to being at home, speak clearly and honestly with people close to you, maybe even reside in the home of someone that you thought, oh, I didn't know I'd be living here or staying here again. Have you noticed then that you're a little stronger than you've given yourself credit for in the past? And if you're open to it, just lightly rest one hand on your chest and hold that knowledge. We're so quick to jump to sharing the things that are quote unquote wrong with us, but it's really important and healthy to seal in the things that are going right with us. And as you just gently hold here, just think once again about that thing you need a little bravery for. And repeat the words to yourself. I'm stronger than I think. I'm stronger than I think. Your thoughts do not accurately reflect your strength. You are from a lineage of survivors. Your body is equipped to do so many things you've never even tried before. You are so much stronger than you think. And then as you're ready, you can release your hand. And we're going to address some of the physiology of power strength here. And we'll start with a practice called breath of fire. Now, rest one hand, and I sometimes like to just do my fingertips just above your navel. So my navel is about here, and I'm 2 inches or so above it, and below your xiphoid process, right at your solar plexus. If you're into chakras, this would be your third chakra. Rest your fingertips right here and reclaim your long spine. And just holding your attention here really lightly for a couple moments. And even, you might notice even just holding your attention in your fingertips here, that a feeling of more strength and power starts to arise. This is considered the energetic center of your will, your confidence, your ability to enact things in the world on behalf of your authentic self. When it's out of balance, we can be very hidden, or we can be like overly egotistical also when it's out of balance, where we're just kind of spraying ourselves all over the place without awareness of other people. When it's in balance, it's like, ooh, I speak the truth even if my voice shakes. So you know where this spot is. Now, inhale through both nostrils and exhale out both nostrils. And inhale halfway full and just do a sharp exhale out your nose. And do it from your abdomen. So I know some of you know this, but for people new to it, I want to make sure they get it. It's like, It's a sharp, quick exhale out your abdomen, right where your fingertips are, out both nostrils. If you were to plug one nostril, you'd create a snot rocket from it. It's that sharp. And keep trying a few more. Don't move your shoulders. It's not about the rest of your body. Don't purposefully inhale. Just exhale and let the inhale come back in. Then inhale and exhale. That was just a practice round. And feel free to type in the comments if you have any questions about it. We're gonna go for first a round of 50, and then we'll take it up to 100, okay? So again, find your tall seat, and one at a time this round we'll lift our arms up, but start with your fingertips on your solar plexus. So you again locate where we are, and then inhale through the nose. Exhale out the nose. Inhale halfway through, halfway in. Sharp, quick exhale. Slowly lift your arms as you keep going. We're halfway. Ten more. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale, sigh it out and let your arms hang. Lightly close your eyes and notice how you feel. Notice if there's a little more energy. And then let's go for another round, about 100. And if you want, you can pick up the pace a bit. My count might not be totally accurate. We'll see. So this time you can start, their palms are facing in, your arms are in a big V. Again, get nice and upright, nice and long through the spine, your chin in slightly. Pick a point to gaze at a few feet ahead of you on the ground. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the nose. Inhale halfway. Sharp, quick exhale from the abdomen out the nose. Keep the rhythm. Halfway. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Inhale. Sigh it out and release your arms down. Lightly close your eyes and let's just breathe together naturally. Notice if there is an increased vitality, an increased feeling of strength in the body. Now that one really clears the cobwebs, doesn't it? That's a great practice to do in the morning. I try and do it every morning to help me wake up and connect to my center, my will, my confidence. So the next practice I want to offer is the Ujjayi breath. Now this is translated to the triumphant breath. Sometimes if you practice yoga, the emphasis is very strongly on the sound of your breath, like it's like a hissing sound through the nose because you're contracting your throat. Now, for training wheels, it's great to do a strong contraction in the throat so you can really hear your breath. That's the practice of learning to slow down and lengthen your breath. Once you get the hang of it, though, over contracting the muscles in your throat can actually be a little irritating for them. And you might notice that your throat feels a little irritated, or you even feel a little phlegmy if you overdo it with a sound like this. You know what I mean? Like when you're like, am I a human or am I a baby dragon? When that question is in the air, your Ujjayi breath might be a little bit extreme. So today, what I want you to do is we are going to find a light contraction in the throat. So we get that feeling of just narrowing the airway a little bit to lengthen the breath. But the sound of your breath should be barely perceptible. It's not like you're kind of breathing loud so someone nearby could hear you. It's barely perceptible. Now, the other piece about this breath is keeping it really rib cage breath. So bring your hands out in front of you like mine are. So you have your fingers spread kind of like they're mirroring the position of your rib cage. You can keep your elbows drawn in, just easy in the shoulders, and inhale, try and inhale wide into the ribs. And exhale, your ribs draw in. And inhale wide. And exhale, they draw in. So there shouldn't be too much movement in your shoulders. It's more going wide, and that triumphant feeling is in your chest expansion. Think about puffing up a bit. Now, rest your hands wherever you'd like to, and do just a little, like just a little bobblehead. So your head isn't too, like think of the bobblehead on the dashboard of a car. Your head isn't too stiff. It's not about that. Then bring it back to neutral. And lightly close your eyes. Keep your body really upright. And if you wish, you can imagine this upcoming challenge right on a movie screen out in front of you. So it's like you're really clearly looking at it with your mind's eye. And simultaneously, very lightly contract the muscles in the throat and breathe through the nose, Ujjayi breath. Follow it all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. And simply sit tall with that upcoming challenge, not bracing against it, but being present with it, feeling your strength. And if you really want to go for it, Imagine breathing the challenge in. So you're taking it actually into your body, you're containing it within yourself instead of thinking of it as something outside over there. And gently let go of the thought of the challenge and just stay tall. Continue the Ujjayi breath and feel your strength. And this idea of this strength so much relates to the idea of resilience, and resilience being an energy of being able to include and persevere even in the midst of challenging times and situations, surviving. And I would say, in so much of the work I do, from having led yoga classes to teacher trainings to leading my money courses or my writing courses, and definitely the somatic experiencing trauma resolution work, so much of it is helping people self-realize to the point where they realize they're stronger than the world has given them credit for. They're stronger than the people that raised them have given them credit for oftentimes. They're much stronger than they think. But we really need to learn that through experience. We can't just convince ourselves by saying it. Finally, I invite you to reflect on if there's one brave step you want to take toward consciously facing that challenge today or tomorrow or the next day. What's one brave step you could take? And if it helps you to close your eyes to tune in, where you believe in your strength, even though you don't quite know what the outcome's going to be. And then just note for yourself what that brave step would be. So, as usual, I like to invite you to share anything you might want to share from the session today. If something stands out as interesting about the story or any of the breathing techniques or your own process of visualization and imagining and considering your challenges, or anything where you've noticed you're stronger than you think in the last 8 weeks. Have you noticed you don't need as much padding as you thought you did? My eating has changed so much because I don't want to go to the same grocery stores. And so I'm like, I haven't eaten sugar in so long. Like, I didn't know I could live without sugar. The most sugar I've had is like some blueberries. Will you type in the chat box if you have any reflections from your practice today that you find interesting, and notice if there's like a hitch too between fear and bravery to do that. I mean, all you're doing is typing in a chat box. I'm recording this whole damn thing and putting it online. I get to practice being stronger than I think when I get some freaky comments sometimes out from the World Wide Web. Some of them are funny though. So share anything that you think might be interesting to share. Insights. Oh, this is really cool. Allison says, I realized my children are stronger than I think. I can let them find their way. That is huge. I wonder if I bet some of you have had that insight as you've had more at home connect with your children, their little natures. I've been practicing this a lot with my writing late in the last year, like sharing about things that I know would be helpful to people, but I'm scared to share them. And practicing, like, just write it and put it out there and see if I die. And usually I find one thing that's really fascinating is I find people come out and actually share how maybe the words or ideas affected them. And I'm really strengthened by them reflecting back to me how they were supported by my writing. And that helps me go on. Holly said, I really felt the vitality after Breath of Fire, right? And it's so simple. That's what blows my mind about some of these breathing techniques. It's like they're free. They're right there waiting for you in any moment. And like Breath of Fire is kind of like a natural espresso shot. Debbie says, I really liked to be reminded about delivering the message to the intended audience and letting it land and be absorbed. Oh, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I feel like that's so relevant and frees our voice and our animation when we're speaking and when we're expressing. Holly said, even though I've done it so many times. Yeah, Breath of Fire can be new every time. Audrey said, I desire to be more expressive in my vulnerability and know that I have been already. Room for more still. I desire to be more expressive in my vulnerability and know that I have been already. Room for more still. That's really cool. Yeah. And when you've tuned back into when you have felt your bravery and tracked the positive results of it, tracked how you made it through, tracked how it may have opened doors, and how when you're less in hiding, you're more free, right? Like my goal in the next 5 years is to just tell all my secrets. Like I'm not one of those people that's that worried about my privacy because I'm like, if I tell all my secrets, then I'm not hiding from anything anymore. Like there are certain things, obviously, I'm not going to share just because they're personal. But the things that I'm like, ooh, what if someone found out? This would be horrible. I'm like, I should probably just tell the world about it and get on with my life. Katrina says, I tend to be shy about public speaking and really appreciated the message of your story. Cool. Yeah, it was such a good class. I feel like I should have played it. I should have done it again somewhere else somehow. Sarah said, sometimes being brave and strong means that you will cry more, but that's okay. That is so true. It does. Sometimes you need to release the intense energies around that. I used to think crying was evidence that something went wrong, but now I feel like it's just evidence that I'm alive. Sarah shared, there is no limit to how much strength we can access if we don't question ourselves. I work on this every day, and I know that some days it's okay not to feel so strong. That's really beautiful. There's no limit to how much strength we can access if we don't question ourselves. I work on this every day, and I know that some days it's okay to not to feel so strong. Yeah, I think there's also that this is that bigger strength of self-acceptance, right? It's like the days when I don't feel so strong and I'm okay with that. That's that it's like this other kind of strength. It's like this permission to be. James said, "What I needed to hear from this is that my confidence is physical, connected to and comes from my body, not only my mind." Oh, really interesting. Yeah. I mean, have there been times when you all have done some physical challenging thing so that you can help you overcome an emotional thing? It really affects you. When I was trying to stop being an out of work administrative assistant, I decided to run a marathon. I'm like, if I get this body to run a marathon, my life's going to somehow change. And over the course of that 6 months of training and running the marathon, I became a full-time yoga teacher. It did. As I built this new strength and endurance in my body, it changed what I could create in the world. David said, like many people, I want this crisis to bring about meaningful change, but I am concerned my bravery is grandiose and unrealistic. I have hope, though. That's so funny. It reminds me of one of both of our favorite songs by Lana Del Rey, David. Hope is a dangerous thing for a woman like me. You know, that feeling of like, is my hope going to bite me in the ass one day? It's like have high hopes and low expectations. I think that's the perfect combination. And good friends around. Keep your web. Claudia says, I've been stepping out of my comfort zone with my art and no longer feel unsure about whether it's good enough to share. I'm creating it for myself, and it ultimately doesn't matter if other people like it or not. That's so exciting. Don't you all want to see the art that someone creates for themselves as opposed to for you? Oh my, that is amazing. You'll have to come back out to Joshua Tree to create more art, probably. Joshua Tree supports our wild, true natures. Thank you so much for sharing, y'all. And I know sometimes there just isn't something that comes together to share. And so if you don't feel compelled to share, of course, that's totally cool. So I just want to give like a couple minutes if we want to sit together here in the end. And I continue to offer somatic experiencing sessions until the end of May at half price. And then I'm shaping some really cool programming around trauma release and stress and anxiety, moving through them and moving on with your life. So I'll be sharing about those in June. In the meantime, let's sit tall and breathe together. Just for a couple minutes. Thank you all so much for joining. I wish you a beautiful day. Happy Mother's Day, and I'll be back next week.
Mwah.
Bye.